I know a lot of Panthers fans are fantasizing about the time of Cam Newton.
I'm glad that you got that.
Yes. I knew exactly where you were going with that, Victoria.
I miss Cam so much.
There are a lot. No, I totally get that. We need to stop comparing Cam Newton's rookie season to Bryce Young's rookie season. It needs to stop happening, and I'll explain to this why. The situation, I mentioned this sitting in for Adam Gold last week. What Bryce Young is surrounded with right now is not good enough to help Bryce Young. It is not right now as a rookie. What Cam Newton walked into his rookie year in terms of what he was surrounded with was ideal for a rookie quarterback in terms of the offensive personnel around him. Because when Cam Newton showed up as a rookie, guess what he had? He had Steve Smith Sr., one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And obviously the best wide receiver the Carolina Panthers have ever seen, and not even close. I love DJ Moore. Sorry, you ain't up there with Steve Smith. You're just not. That's okay. That's fine. Steve Smith was at a whole different level. But not only did he have Steve Smith, a legit number one wide receiver on the outside, who was in his prime, who was in his peak, you also had a recently acquired Greg Olsen at tight end, who had a fantastic career and was great with Cam Newton, great with the Carolina Panthers. You also had as a second tight end, you had Jeremy Shockey, who's no slouch himself. Right now, looking at the Panthers roster, I'm sorry, do the tight ends resemble anything of what those two had? Nope. It's not. Oh, by the way, you also had a 1-2 running back tandem in Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. I said last week on this show, sitting in for Adam Gold, by the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. I said it on this show that what they surrounded Bryce Young with was a bunch of complimentary and average and below average offensive players. We hyped up Adam Thielen just a little bit ago. He's been playing great. He's been their best offensive player. But he's never been a true number one receiver. During his time at Minnesota, Stephon Diggs commanded a lot of the attention. He was the one that was drawing the top corner, as well as safety help over the top. Then after Stephon Diggs was gone, it was Justin Jefferson drawing that attention. So Thielen's never been that deep stretcher, or just, again, never been that true number one guy. I know there's some seasons he may have put up some better numbers overall than Stephon Diggs did at some point. Well, guess what? Stephon Diggs was the one drawing the attention that allowed Thielen to have those open opportunities. Greg Olsen was fantastic. I mean, heck, a lot of people I'll actually get into the 2015 year here in just a little bit. But Bryce Young doesn't have that. He doesn't have those threats. He doesn't have a 1-2 running back tandem. But hey, you know what? If Bryce is struggling a little bit right now, you could settle him down. You could pick up first yards and have a nice 1-2 running back combination that they have with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. Miles Sanders has had one 1,000-yard season in his NFL career. He did that last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, guess what? He wasn't the number one option offensively. He wasn't even the number two option. Heck, he probably wasn't even the three option. Because you had Devontae Smith. You had A.J. Brown out there. You had Dallas Goedert at tight end. Oh, Jalen Hurts could also beat you with his legs, too. He was a complimentary piece. He was good, but he was a complimentary piece. So what Cam Newton had as a rookie, what he walked into, was perfect for a rookie quarterback. Because guess what? He had a chance and an opportunity to just be the guy that would just worry about. He could be the complimentary piece to those guys.
Yeah, he had options.
Exactly. He had plenty of options. And you know what? The thing that he obviously, his running ability was that, you know what? They simplified the offense for him. Like, you know what? If you roll out here, give you a couple options. If you don't have it, throw the ball away. Or you know what? He can also tuck the ball and pick up a bunch of yards and run. Bryce Young doesn't do that. And that's totally fine. Not every quarterback does that in the NFL. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, Anthony Richardson does that. Well, Anthony Richardson got knocked out in his second game with a concussion already. People talk about Bryce being injury prone. Like, well, yeah, the big guy, the guy that's built like Cam Newton, also injured and missed a game as well with the concussion. I think something way more severe than an ankle injury that we still have suspicions about.
Right.
So you can't compare that. So I made that point. A lot of people say, well, in 2015, we didn't have, the Panthers didn't have great receivings, great options at receiver and all that. I was like, okay, I'll bring up this then. Cam Newton wasn't a rookie in 2015. That was peak Cam Newton because he was MVP Cam Newton. You can't compare Bryce Young 2 games into his rookie season to peak 2015 Cam Newton, who was the league MVP. It's not the same. But because I mentioned at that point, you have to build up the quarterback to eventually get to the point where he elevates everyone else around you. Now, I will say this about that 2015 Panthers squad. Yeah, Ted Ginn wasn't great, but you had to respect the vertical threat. You had guys that could work on 3 different levels. Even Jonathan Stewart pointed this out recently on a podcast as well. Jonathan Stewart said, yeah, you know what? We still had a strong running game. Greg Olsen could still work in the middle of the field, which, by the way, Greg Olsen had over 1,000 yards receiving that season.
He was
as a tight end. He was fantastic. Amazing. That was the go-to option.
Yeah.
And you still had to respect the speed of Ted Ginn. Like, he could still beat you over the top. Well, he'll probably drop 5 passes, but you still had to respect it. But Cam, at that point, was good enough where he could elevate the guys around him. So you can't even compare 2015 Cam Newton to what you have now with Bryce Young. No totally rookie different. Quarterback should be asked to elevate average around him. That's my point. Cam Newton, actually on a podcast recently with KJ Wright. KJ Wright, former NFL player, spent a long time actually in Seattle, was a member of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
KJ Wright posed this question to Cam about Bryce.
So when you look at Bryce, does he have somewhat of enough around him? Not even close.
No. And I see the receiver skill set. Yes. You see the Thielen, you see Clark, you see the tight end there. But from top to bottom, for him, it's not set up for him to be successful, especially not his rookie year, in my honest opinion. And like I said, everything that Carolina is and building, will they get to that point? Yes. But right now, yes. And throwing, him into the wolves and expecting instant success, that's not the quarterback position, unfortunately.
Cam Newton, as a rookie, understood how hard it was to come into the NFL. Like it's just hard. It's just difficult. I don't care what position you play.
Different than college. It's not the same.
It's not even close. And like people, he played in the SEC. Guess what? There are a lot of guys that play Saturdays in the SEC that don't make the NFL. I can't even sniff a practice squad. So you know what? Get that thought out of here. There are guys who will make all SEC that don't make the NFL.
And flop in the NFL if they make it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even make it through training camp.
Yeah.
So you know what? Whatever on that. My point is this. Stop making the comparisons between Cam's rookie year and Bryce's rookie year. They're 2 totally separate things. Cam walked into a great situation, and you know what? And it was still hard. And I'll also say this as well, is that we'll get into this a little bit later on, Victoria. I also have questions for Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Because I don't know right now if he is the voice, the play caller that is best for Bryce Young right now.
Yeah.
We saw, it's funny, if you go on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page, by the way, 99.9 The Fan, located in Raleigh, is the flagship station for the Adam Gold Show, which is where we're placed right now. And we put a lot of this content that we have here, not only in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, which is available wherever you find your podcast, but it's also available on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page. Just search for it. Make sure you subscribe, smash that subscribe button. But also, there's a lot of Colts fans that get into the comments when we have conversations regarding the Carolina Panthers about we don't miss Frank Reich.
Yeah.
We don't miss him.
You can have him.
I am okay with a head coach who's not also a play caller. I'll make the comparison here in a little bit to Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions. Dude never called plays.
Yeah.
Guy was a tight end in the NFL, knew what it was like to grind, be a special teamer, was that role player. He understands it. He gets it. He gets it from a player standpoint. Not saying Frank Reich does it. He obviously was a player himself. But Dan Campbell's not a play caller. I think it's time for Frank Reich to turn play calling over to Thomas Brown. Let him be the OC. You know that big 47-yard completion that we saw to DJ Chark? You know who drew up that play concept and apparently told Frank Reich, hey, let's run this? It's Thomas Brown and Parks Frazier, the passing game coordinator. They drew up that route concept. Now it was a busted coverage by Seattle, but the route combination kind of confused Seattle's defense a little bit. But guess what? Maybe you should start letting those guys handle the play calling. You be the CEO. You be the guy that calls timeouts. Be the CEO. Do what's best for Bryce. And stop comparing Bryce's rookie year to Cam's rookie year.
No, and I think it's funny, too, to point out that all the Cam haters from back in the day may also be the now Bryce haters.
Imagine that.
I feel like some fans are just habitual, quarterback haters, maybe.
Habitually.
Yes.
They cross that line.
It just doesn't matter
Habitual
who is
line
throwing the ball.
steppers.
They just hate them. I don't know. It's ironic.
It's funny. The ones who are hating on Cam during his career are probably the ones be like, we want him back.
Exactly. That's what I mean. He's not here anymore, so you don't want to complain about him. Let's complain about the new meat.
Panthers Vikings this Sunday at Bank of America Stadium.